Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. In this video, we are going to discuss about VPC peering in GCP, Google Cloud. Okay, how to do VPC peering and single project and multi-project. Okay, so if you see the Google folder structure, like first we have organizations, then folders and subfolders, then projects, and then we have resources, right? So here we are doing the single project, two different VPCs, that VPC peering we will do, and two different projects, how to do VPC peering, that also we will see in this demo. First of all, we will discuss what is VPC peering. VPC peering is a network service that allow you to connect two different VPC networks, whether they are in the same project or across in the different project or organizations. This connection enables that VPC to communicate with each other using private IP address, making it possible for the resources of one VPC to communicate the resources with another VPC without going over the public internet. So what it means, like using internal IP, we can communicate two different VPCs. Okay, if you do VPC peering and we can share the data. Why do we need to do VPC peering? Means resource sharing and security, cost efficiency, and simple network management. If you talk about resource sharing, so VPC peering allow you to share resources, different projects or environment. For example, you might have centralized logging service in one VPC that need to collect logs from applications running on different VPCs. This is one example. And security, by keeping the traffic with Google Cloud Network, VPC peering enables the security. This because of data does not travels over the public internet, reducing the exposure to potential security threats. So we are doing that internal IP, internal IP, so it will not using any public IP, so it should be secure. The data should be secure. And the cost efficiency. Using VPC peering can more cost effective than using public IP address for communication between the VPCs. It avoids the egress charge associated with the internet traffic. And a simplified the network management. VPC peering simplifies the network management by eliminating the need of complexity, VPN configurations, relying on third-party services to connect different network segments. Okay, these are the benefits while doing VPC peering. The most important consideration while doing VPC peering is CIDR overlap and quota and limits, transitive peering, and the DNS resolution. CIDR overlap means ensure that CIDR ranges to different VPCs do not overlap. Overlapping IP ranges can lead the routing issues and prevent successful communication between the VPCs. So we make sure that IP address overlap should not be overlap, and the quota and limits, there are quota and limits and number of peering connections that you can do have peer in VPC. Check the GCP documentation for the limitations. And the transitive peering, and so suppose if you do transitive peering in non-transitive means, like if we have VPC A is paired with VPC B and VPC B is paired with VPC C. So VPC A can't communicate VPC through via VPC B. So you have to do VPC A to VPC C also, you have to do peering. And DNS resolution. Consider DNS peering zones to enable private DNS resolution across the peered VPCs. Okay. These are the important considerations we have to do while doing VPC peering. So suppose I have project A and project B. Even though if you have created two different VPCs, by default it will not able to communicate within the same project also. So if you wanted to communicate within the same project and two different VPCs, you have to do VPC peering. And if you wanted to do different projects, and if you wanted to try to make the communication between one project to another project, and you have to do VPC peering. Let's get into the demo. So I'm into currently my first project. Okay, here I'll create a two different VPCs and I will launch two instances on two different VPCs and we'll check whether it is able to communicate or not. If it is not able to communicate, then we will do VPC peering and we'll check. Let me create a VPC. So I'm giving dev-vpc subnets. I'm making only one subnet for time being, dev sub1, and this region I'm going to launch on US East 1 and the IP range is 10.1.1.0/24. Remaining I'm going with the default, just create subnet, create VPC. So once created the VPC, we will create a firewall to allow port 22 for this VPC. So this it will take some time to create. So we have to wait. Yeah, it is completed. Now what you need to do, you have to go to firewalls, add firewall, make the name allow SHS and network dev VPC and this ingress traffic incoming and action must be allow, and instead of specified target tags I am going with all instances in this network, and the IP ranges I am giving so 0.0.0.0/0. So anyone can come in connect to this VPC with their IPs. Otherwise, what you need to do, you have to provide your public IP to allow this VPC. And I'm trying to allow TCP port 22 and others ICMP protocol. I'm allowing these two. So in this 0.0./ you have to provide your public IP. If you type what is my public IP address or my IP, so you'll get that public IP address that you have to provide it to allow you this network. Okay. Now this is done. Let me create one more VPC so that we can create at a time two different instances and two different VPC. Create VPC, create VPC. Then I'm giving test VPC and subnets. I'm making test sub1 region. I'm launching this on US West 1 and the IP range is 172.16.1.0/24. Done. Okay, and create VPC. So once this VPC is created, so we will create a firewall to allow this traffic, incoming traffic to this test VPC. Yeah, it is created successfully. Now go to firewalls, create firewall, add firewall. So allow ingress test VPC incoming request instead of specify target tags. I'm going with all that service and I'm giving /0.0./0 and slash 22 and others ICMP protocol create. So let me go to compute machines. So firewall also done. Then we have two different VPCs, dev VPC and test VPC. So I'm going to launch instances on these two. So dev VM, I'm making it as US East 1. This region zone should be anything, fine. And I'm going with N1 series and F1, that is fine. And allow, if you want to allow traffic HTTP and HTTPS, and we make sure these should be networking. See, if you have provided the tag specific, you have to provide networking tags so that it will be checking the tags instead of allowing all the networks. So here network interface, we have to make sure our dev VPC. Okay. So whenever you have provided dev VPC, take the subnet one, dev sub one. And if you wanted to make any runtime scripts, that should be allow. So you have to do automation scripts. If you have any automation scripts, you have to provide those scripts and create instance. Meanwhile, let me create one more instance. So test VM. So this I am going to launching on US West 1 and 1, and next go to firewalls, allow HTTP traffic and advanced options. So networking, here networking interface, I'm going with test VPC, and I'm going to management. Here the automation scripts, I'm going to install Nginx, and I'm adding that host name into the index.html. Okay, then create. Now, if you check, this is the internal IP and this is the external IP. If you check this external IP, so that the Nginx is installed on this VM. See, Nginx is installed. And if you wanted to try to connect, you can connect. And we have to check whether the ping is happened or not in these two different VMs. So another one also, it should be able to completed. If you check, this is also running Nginx. While creating the instance, we are trying to install with the script. So we will also try to do SHS this VM also. Authorize. So this able to do. If I do ping google.com, so it is getting the response. So this we should able to connect it within custom VPC. Here also ping google.com. So this is also fine. Okay. Now if you check the IP address, and this is the 172.16.1.2. Okay. And if you check IP address, okay, this is 10.1.1.2. So if you do ping between these two resources, internal different VPCs, it should not able to get the response. See, it is not happening. So even if you check here ping 10.1.1.2, it is not able to get that communication. Okay, so 16 packet transmitted, 0 received, 100 packet, 100% packet loss here also. So what you need to do if you wanted to communicate these two, so you have to do VPC peering. So what you need to do, go to VPC and there is a VPC peering. You have to create VPC peering on the same project. So continue. So you have to provide the any name like dev to test VPC peering. Anything you have to provide, and from your VPC network. So my source is dev and the same project. If you have another project, you have to select that, and your VPC network name, I am going to provide the text, and IPv4 stack only, and IPv exchanging IPv4 custom routes. This is import custom route and export custom routes, and exchanging the subnet routes, the private used by public IP address. I am unselected this and created. So this is dev to test. So you have to do vice versa. So test to, so currently the status is inactive. So what you need to do, you have to do peering with test to dev, so that both ways you have to do peering. So then only the status should be active. So you have to create one more, then you have to make it test to dev, and here source is test and the same project destination is dev, and create. Once it is created, and the status should go to active. So dev to test VPC peering is connection, and this is also done. If you do refresh, it make green tick. See, it is active. So if you check now, just do up arrow. See, it is able to getting the response. See, here also getting that response, because now we are able to establish the connection between VPC peering. So if you wanted to share some files between these two instances, okay, so what you need to do, you have to do um, SCP. Before that, you have to make sure the keys are shared between these two instances, okay. And so if you wanted to copy, so first I will see without copying these um, keys, whether we should able to copy the files or not, okay. So I'm creating one file here. So echo good morning, and I'm making it as demo.txt file. So if you check, there is one file demo.txt, and if we do who am I, this is the user BCReddy Devops, and we know the IP address of this mission. Now if you try to copy this file scp -r and demo.txt file um, to user BCReddy Devops at the rate IP address 172.16.1.2 slash with present working directory. Presently I am into home BCReddy Devops slash home slash BCReddy Devops. So it will ask say yes. It is saying connection closed because we don't have any keys created and it is not shared. Okay. So what you need to do? So you have to generate the key. For that you have to use shs-key gen created keys. The keys should be under slash home bcreddy dot shs. Okay. So here keys will be there cd dot shs. So here public keys will be there. You have to copy this public key id dot rsa pub key. So this is id dot rsa pub key. You have to copy this key. Okay. So what you need to do, you have to copy this and you have to add cd dot authorizer keys. In the same location there is authorizer keys. You have to copy this authorizer keys, VI authorizer keys. So you have to scroll the end and added this key. So make one line space and add this key. So escape. I'm quitting and I'm checking. I'm doing again. So there is one command to go to last line in Linux. Shift G. Okay, anyway. Insert mode. Pasting that key. Let me quit that and let me add again. Yeah, now fine. So this is done now. If you try to copy the same, scroll down, go back to that wherever the source file will be available. Here the demo.txt file is available, and if you try to do copy now without SHS key is already done. Now scp command if you try to run, so it is copied successfully. Now if you check, that file will be available under this location. So we did passwordless communication between these two instances because these instances already appeared and the data also shared securely. Okay. Now this is one project we did the VPC peering. Now if we try to do multi-project VPC peering, So what you need to do, you have to create, see already we have two projects, and if you wanted to create one more project, you have to make, provide the project name. I'm giving third project name. I'm giving any name you can give. So once that project is created, let me make duplicate window. So you have to go select the third project. So what I'm trying to do now, I'm creating from this project to this project, do the VPC peering. Okay, I'm going to create a VPC on this project, third project, and then I'll launch instances and we'll try to establish the connection between this VPC, one of the VPC and project A to that another project VPC. Third project enable compute engine, and we have to make sure select that third project, and VPC peering also, here also we have to enable the compute API. Second, this is the one, and project third project enable API. I think still it is enabling API, so that all the resources should be created under this project. We have to wait till this API is created. So once this API is enabled, then we will try to create custom VPC and launch the instances on that custom VPC. It is done. Okay. Now VPC networks by default, whenever create a project, as I said, there is a default VPC created in all the subnets. Okay. So we need custom VPC created here, or you have to do that same default also peering, but I'm going with custom and I'm giving the name prod VPC. Okay, and subnets, I'm giving the subnet prod sub1, and the region you have to give that any region, US East 1 or any region. So I'm going with US Central region, and I'm making 192.168.1.0/24, and done. So create VPC, and I will launch one instance on that prod one. Before that, what I need to do, I need to create a firewall to allow SHS into the VM. So we have to wait. Prod VPC, firewalls, add firewall. So allow SHS prod VPC egress and specific instead of all instances in this network, and TCP port 22 others ICMP create. Make sure, okay, this source we have to mention like 0.0.0/0 and create. So we have to launch the instance, compute engine, third project, and create instance. I will make as prod VM, and so I'm going with small resources F1 micro. Hello HTTP, HTTPS traffic, networking. I'm going with network interface here, prod VPC. So here also we have selected that US Central one. So we have launched US Central one. That's the reason it is showing here. And if you have any startup scripts, you have to mention that automation startup scripts. I will have this Nginx one. So I just install that Nginx and create the instance. So now I am trying to do VPC peering project A, VPC A to project B, this VPC. So we will check whether we'll try to do ping, whether it should able to establish the connection or not. If it is not, then we'll try to do VPC peering between these two instances. This is, the prod VM currently unavailable US Central 1 zone. Alternatively, you have to select different VM configuration. Okay, let me launch one more instance. Let me select 1B, prod VM1. I'll go with EC2 and rest of everything same only, and allow HTTP and HTTP topic instead of that. Then advanced option, networking, interface. Instead of default, I'm going with prod VPC. Then this is fine. Management, user scripts, copying that script. So just update and apt install nginx and copy this host name into that html index.html and create. Yeah, it is done. So now it is completed. Now we'll try to do SHS. This internal IP 192.16.1.2. authorize. It is done now. Let me back this side. Now if you check ping google.com, it is pinging and getting that response and IP address. So getting this IP address, now we'll try to do ping between these two. So here this IP address is 10.1. Right. So if you do IP address, so this is the one. Now if I do ping 192.168.1.2, so it is not able to get that response. So if you try to do vice versa, 10.1.1.2, we are also not getting any response. Now we'll try to do VPC peering from source to destination. Our source is like prod this one, and this is the project one. So if you do project one, and this is project third project and first project. So if you do VPC peering, you have to go VPC networking and VPC peering connection, create VPC peering connection, continue, and you have to provide any name, prod to dev, and your source is prod VPC. This is another project. Okay, so you have to provide the project ID. So if you want to find the project ID, okay, so this is the first project, and if you wanted to see the project name, this is the project ID. So you have to provide this project ID, copy this, or you have to copy this project ID from here as well. So till J4. So this is the project ID and VPC networking name. So if you scroll down and the project, same project, if you see this is the list of projects, which VPC you wanted to do VPC peering. So I'm going with dev VPC. So dev VPC. Now IPv4 stack, and this is also exchange. So similar way you have to create the vice versa also, as I said. So you have to do VPC peering, and you have to create peering from dev to prod. Otherwise the status should be inactive. See, inactive. Now your VPC source is yours dev VPC and another project. The project ID you can find out here, project ID, third project. This is the one. Otherwise you have to copy paste this third project ID. This is the project ID and the network name prod VPC. This is the one, only one VPC here, and that is the VPC name prod VPC. Okay, I'm providing the prod VPC name and create. So once it is created successfully, so that both should be active. So whenever it should be active, so by automatically, see, now I think it is active, automatically it is able to getting that pinging both the VMs. So the connection is established. So it should be paired. See, getting that responses. So now status also, if you refresh, it should be active. And here also, if you see here, the status is active. Okay. So like this, you have to do VPC peering between the same project, single project or multi-project, and you should able to secure your data to transfer the data between these different projects and different subnets. Okay, so that you do VPC peering. Okay. So that's all about in this session. If you like the video, please share and subscribe my channel, and thanks for watching.